States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, this is the Gateway Board of School Directors regular board meeting, Thursday, June 29. We had a executive session, as you knew from standing out there, at 5 o'clock tonight to discuss personnel. Do I hear a roll call, please? Ms. Isha.
Yes. Mr. Bova.
I am here.
Mrs. Cerrucci. Here. Mrs. Delaney. Here. Mrs. McBride. Here. Ms. Mungo. Here. Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Here. Nice.
Mrs. Warning. Here. And Mr. Williams.
Here, Mrs. Delaney, here.
Alrighty. Do we have any comments from residents on agenda items? Agenda items first.
No one signed up in advance for agenda items. We
We
have
have
one.
someone for non-agenda, which we'll get to near the end of the meeting.
Yes.
All right. Before we get started, we've got something Ms. Warning would like to talk about.
Yes, we have some representatives here from Special Olympics that were here this past weekend. If you would like to stand up.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us tonight. We wanted to just come here to thank you as the board for allowing us to host our event this weekend. We are beyond grateful.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm
Special
so sorry.
Olympics.
I'm Stephanie Taylor. I am the Unified Champion Schools Manager for the Three Rivers region. This is Cameron Ruby. She's our Regional Administrative Manager. And we had a couple other staff members last time we were here. Jesse Merkel came, and Andrew Fee is our Regional Executive Director, who has passed on the letter to all of you last time, which we have a letter of gratitude to share tonight as well. But we just wanted to come here to say thank you a million times over because the day was wonderful. We had how many athletes?
We had 150 athletes and we had 200 volunteers.
And just wanted to give a huge shout out to Athletic Director Don Hall and the athletic secretary Jill and Anna from the custodial staff. They were outstanding. And a final shout out to Patrick, who sang the national anthem. He's a student at Gateway High School.
He
And
has a great voice.
He does.
I was trying to sing along. I quit because I wanted to listen to. He's really a good voice.
If you have a chance, we have it shared on social media on our Three Rivers Region page, so we can try and tag your school district in it. And we have posted some photos as well. There's also been an article in the Trib, so if you are able to check all those things out, it was really a wonderful day. Your tennis team is outstanding. 5 of those boys came and helped run our tennis session for 3 athletes, one of which didn't have a partner to play against, and Boozer played against her and with her as her doubles partner for 3 straight hours. So you have incredible students, incredible staff, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall asked me to show to the board. Everyone sign this.
Aww,
Oh, wonderful.
that's so awesome.
And we have a mini version of that to give to each of the board members as well.
You're about as skinny as Vanna.
Thank you.
That's nice. That's wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
me
Thank you.
so
That's
happy.
lovely.
All right, are we going to do this every year?
Maybe, if you'll have us back.
Now, is this affiliated with Three Rivers Youth?
This is Three Rivers Region, is the region for Special Olympics. That includes all of Region 4.
So that's a different.
What's your Facebook page? Do you know? Is it?
Three Rivers, yeah, what's the Facebook page actually? Three Rivers Region? Yeah, Special Olympics Pennsylvania, Three Rivers Region.
Special Olympics Pennsylvania, Three Rivers. Okay.
I was in the swimming venue, and one of the boys, he finished up, he got his best time. So he stood up and he yelled up to the crowd in the stands, "That was my best time ever!" And then one of the girls, she finished it up, her 50, she looked up and she said, "Yay!" It was just a delight to be there, to see that.
So
These kids had such a good time.
I was over at the auxiliary gym watching them play basketball, and it was just great. I mean, everybody's playing together. There's no, aggressiveness or anything like that. And it was really very, very nice to see.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. Every year. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't.
For
Yeah.
considering our district.
Awesome. We are truly happy to help.
For everyone who is not aware, the reason we had this event was because early in June, our summer games that are traditionally held in the state canceled due to the smoke. So we quickly tried to turn and think of how can we make something happen for our athletes, and the Gateway School Board was so gracious to allow us to have that. So thank you, and can't wait to keep working with you.
Great,
Yeah.
we can't either. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for what you guys do.
We do have one board member.
Dr. Singh. Yeah, for Dr. Singh.
Oh, yeah.
Here, and then, yeah,
Is there one more stuff in there?
I was sticker. There's not one here. We can send that one.
Oh, I wish I was there.
Well, we can send another letter.
I'm gonna go check out the Facebook pictures.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
Okay, we're going to move on to the board member discussion items. Who would like to start? If anybody, of course. Thank you, Bruce. Excellent. We're going to move on to section A, minutes of the previous meetings.
Second.
Any questions on the minutes? Nope. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dr. Singh. All righty, let's move on to section B. Take it over, Dr. Short.
Section B, bills, financial reports, Mr. Zarellis.
Thanks, Dr. Short. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves section 1B1 list of bills, B2 financial reports as listed in section B below.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any questions on that section? No. We're going to expedite this a bit. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the ayes have it.
Section C, items previously tabled. We have use of facilities at Gateway High School.
I would like to keep it tabled.
That will remain tabled. We'll move on to section D, personnel.
Personnel agenda. You good? Jessel?
Thank you, Dr. Short. We have 4 resignations as represented on this agenda, along with 9 leave of absences to approve. 14 transfers, a large amount of those are based on the GEA bids that were circulated early May for members to bid upon. Employment, we have 13 teachers recommended for employment. Those roles vary between 1-year teachers and permanent vacancies. 5 paraprofessionals, 1 custodian, staff nurse, school police officer, early literacy program teachers, along with extended school year teacher, extended school year paraprofessionals, cyber facilitators for the 23-24 school year, event workers for 23-24, supplemental issuance and rescinding of issuance for 22-23, rescinding for 23-24, along with issuance of additional supplementals for 23-24 school year, pending budget approval. And lastly, 5 volunteers, independent volunteers for the district.
So moved.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Who has the first question on this very long personnel section?
Are we still in need of paraprofessionals, custodians?
Yes, we're still actively recruiting. We have seen great improvements with influx of candidates. Both custodial and paraprofessionals, we're still struggling with food service. I hope that we can make some headway on that this summer. We still have some teacher positions that we are actively recruiting for, in addition to social worker and counselor as proposed on the budget for the 23-24 school year. So those will all hopefully be wrapped up in the next few weeks here. But we're making headway, and I greatly appreciate everyone's support along the way to find the right candidates.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you've been working on it.
2 weeks ago, quickly here, 2 weeks ago, I woke up on Wednesday night, about 3 a.m., and I was like, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, what day is it? So yes, the last month has been a very interesting period of time in my life, but I am very, very much satisfied with what progress everyone in the district has made to find the right people to educate our students.
All right, so one thing I would ask again, and more, I guess, directly, if you look at our supplementals, you will see a wide range of compensations for the things that are done, and we've researched this a bit. We're working off a formula that Mr. Fales created apparently 30 years ago, and these things have evolved over time.
50 years.
50 years, I'm sorry. And we need to streamline these, make sense of them, make sure all the folks that are contributing all this time and energy are getting a fair compensation for that. So I've talked to Mike, Mr. Drelis, and whoever, if you need Don Hall, because a lot of these relate to that, get those folks together so we can find out some way to do this without breaking the bank, of course.
Right.
You know, one way, obviously, to make it fair is everyone got the same amount, but if it's real small, they'll probably be unhappy. So let's find a way to get that fixed.
Absolutely.
Can I just ask a question? On the Gateway Middle School girls basketball assistant coach, you have Betty Howard as both.
Yes, I apologize. That was likely a typo.
Should one be Carrie Koenig?
I'll double check. I believe so.
All right, I just want to make sure.
I'll double check with Patty and respond to the board directly.
Okay.
On Wednesday.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions concerning personnel? Nope. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, sir.
I need to abstain.
Oh,
Aye.
okay. Done. All right, let's move on.
Section E, conferences and conventions, seeing none. Move forward to section F, the administrative resolution, administrative report, elementary education. Dr. Rossi?
Item number 1 is to approve the following purchases. We have ESL program for grades 6 through 12, 3 chairs for pre-K. It's the pre-K curriculum resource, spring math, We Write to Read classroom kits, and Vision Algebra 1 textbook. Item number 2 is to approve the NWA MAP training for the fall. Item number 3 is approve the Title I instructional service agreement, Catapult Learning and Allegheny Intermediate Unit for the non-public Title I services. Item number 4 is to approve the following ESL resources for public display as listed. Item number 5 is to approve the renewal of the Waterfront Learning Service Agreement and the pricing addendum rates between the Allegheny Intermediate District to provide cyber school students.
Item number 6, effective for the 23-24 school year, Gateway Middle School will reopen with grade configurations of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th at the conclusion of the renovation. Item number 7, approve the Pennsylvania Department of Education MOU with the Monroeville Police Department and the Gateway School District. Item number 8, facility agreement as listed.
Item number 9, approve the MOU for the 2024 with the AIU Title III Consortium as depicted in Exhibit B. Item number 10, approve the agreement with Nevada Home Health Care as depicted in Exhibit 8. Item number 11, approve the agreement with Adelphi Education Services for the 2023-2024 school year as depicted in Exhibit I. Item number 12, approve the agreement with the AIU for the school-based access program support services as depicted in Exhibit J.
Item number 13, approve the Forbes Road Career and Technology Center revenue anticipation note for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item number 14, payment of Section B1 list of bills for the month of July of 2023. Item 15, approve Tricog Land Bank's notice of proposed property disposition for 1 Monroeville and 1 Pitcairn property located within the Gateway School District as listed. Item 16, approve the final cafeteria fund budget for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 17, approval of the final general fund budget for the 23-24 fiscal year. Approve and adopt the final general fund budget for the 23-24 fiscal year in the current amount of $96,246,648.62, reflecting an increase in expenditures of $3,737,948.62, or 4.04% more than the general fund budget for 22-23 fiscal year. The final general fund budget currently does include an increase in the district's real estate tax millage rate. The real estate tax millage rate will increase from 21.7479 mils by 1.109 mils to 22.8570 mils for the 23-24 fiscal year. Item 18, approve the homestead and farmstead exclusion real estate tax assessment reduction for 23-24 as listed. Item 19, extension of the current liquid propane gas agreement with Federal Gas for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 20, agreement for the continued participation in the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services administered school-based access program for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 21, award of bread and bakery vendor product bid cafeteria fund for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 22, award of milk and dairy vendor product bid cafeteria fund for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed in Exhibit N. Item 23, approval of the Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV federal funds as listed. Item 24, renewals and premium payments for the district insurance coverages for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 25, approval of the agreement with the Allegheny Interview Unit to lease room 103 and the nurse's office at Montside Middle School starting October 1st, 2023 and terminating June 30th, 2026 as listed. Item 26, disposal of old equipment, furniture, and various other miscellaneous items that are no longer serviceable for the district during the 23-24 fiscal year. Item 27, approval of sale of obsolete and damaged technology department equipment during the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 28, approval of renewals and premium payments for the district insurance coverage policies for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed. Item 29, approve the contract G&G fitness equipment for the 23-24 fiscal year as listed.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, who's got the first questions about the vote?
Second.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Scotty. Now, who's got the first question?
I do. We are number 25, approving the agreement with the AIU to lease room 103 at a nurse's office starting October 1st. Are we sure that room and nurse's office is going to be available?
You mean available as far as the kids moving to the new facility?
Correct.
Yeah, they're on they know that if we're still here, they're not coming here. They know that. They're not going to move in until we move up.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, since you have a date.
I have a
They're
question.
aware of that.
Okay, it's public, that's all.
15, the tricod man thing. You said they were going to do a presentation
In August.
in August.
Coming in August to the board meeting.
All right, and for number 26, is there a fee for us? Do we have to pay anything for the disposal of the old equipment?
I can answer that. Yeah. So there is some equipment that we have to pay to dispose of, namely CRT televisions. However, the recycling company we use will credit us for equipment that they can recycle or make a profit off of. So by disposing of desktop computers, it helps offset some of those costs, but there's normally some cost still associated with those TVs.
Also on that same one, Michael, that was 26, disposal of the furniture. What if, is that open to public or some facilities who may be able to use that furniture?
I only handled the technology side of it, so the furniture would go through a separate process.
They do reach out to other school districts, churches, things of that nature before they thought of those.
Okay. And that's what I was wondering about.
Oh, yeah, we
Is there a
always
fee to pay? Okay.
Any other questions? Let's have a roll call for this one, Bonnie.
Sure. Mrs. Cerucci?
Yes on everything but 17.
17. Mrs. Delaney?
Yes on everything but 17.
Mrs. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Yes on everything but 15 and 17.
And 17. Mr. Williams?
Yes, to everything except number 17.
And Mr. Boba?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Boba.
You're the fifth vote to approve the budget.
Yeah, I know. Budget fix, we should have done it 3 months ago. I'm sorry. Okay, we passed. I did, I know, I can count.
I wasn't sure what you were going to do.
Where are we? I've lost my-
Section G.
The closest budget pass we ever had, 5-4.
Member resolutions.
There we go. School board member resolution.
Dr. Singh.
Last meeting, I presented that, I reminded everyone that on May 24 last year, Raab Elementary School, Uvalde, Texas, a primarily Latino community witnessed a horrible mass shooting and left 19 students, 4th graders, and 2 teachers killed and many injured. We resolved to condemn these shootings, and our heart go out to the victims and the bereaved ones.
Thank you. Do them together separate. We hear a second?
Second.
Both.
Sorry, I didn't hear the motion.
Oh, I thought that was his motion.
Read it. That was his.
Okay, so do we have a motion to,
Second.
we got a motion from Scotty, second from Robin Mungo. Any questions on this?
Yeah. Dr. Singh, was this just like a letter, or was there something else financial that we're approving?
No, there's no financial
Just the recognition.
resolution
Okay.
or intention.
Just the recognition.
Any other questions? No? Let's have a roll call, Bonnie, because.
This is only on item number 1, not number.
Yeah, they're separate, right? So let's do it separately.
Okay. Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride? Aye. Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Boba?
Aye.
And Mrs. Cerucci?
Aye.
Let's move on to the second resolution. Who is
I am.
responsible for that?
Myself. It's to acknowledge on the school calendar, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is Jewish New Year and the Day of Atonement starting in school year 2023. This is a resolution to acknowledge this on our district calendar.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have questions on this?
Yeah, there's just, some of us thought it was on the calendar, and some of us didn't think it was on the calendar. And I think we're just affirming
Calendars.
that
too.
there's 2 different calendars, and we need to make them consistent.
So on the Gateway School District 2023-24 school calendar, I have it pulled up. There is no acknowledgement on those, and I would just like to see these dates acknowledged. They do change yearly, so that would be something that they would have to acknowledge. make sure that that's on the calendar.
And they start at sundown the
Correct.
day before, right?
Correct.
Are we gonna add all religious holidays to our school calendar?
If we get someone that would like it on, then we could do that.
So we're gonna just take requests per religion?
It's per request. I am going by someone that had requested this and just following through. We can do that. I just want to read from Rabbi Simon, couldn't be here tonight. She just saying the importance of acknowledging and celebrating the diversity of Gateway students, faculty, and staff, and clarifying what acknowledging a holiday means in the real world of those who observe it, and having a shared calendar for administrators, school, parents, etc. You can have everything on one.
Any other questions?
Can't we amend this to include all religions? Because if we're celebrating diversity, wouldn't we want to acknowledge all religious holidays on our school calendar?
Well, first of all, I have no problem with that.
I think you have to articulate.
But I think we have to spell,
What we're doing here.
we would have to spell them out, and the ones that have established dates would have to have established dates. I have no problem doing this one at a time. If a resident offers a suggestion or a request, the purpose of this isn't to be in any way divisive. The purpose of this is to join this community as much as we can. Simple thing called inclusive. Now, years ago, folks, by my humble estimation, rather foolishly, decided to make our Christmas break the winter break, which, seems to ignore the obvious and attempted to get religion out of our schedule. Well, again, by my reckoning, that was a mistake. It was misguided. Everyone knows why we're off at that period of time. No one's telling someone to practice Christmas. No one's telling someone to follow a faith. What we're saying is we want to recognize the people in our community. We want them to know they're part of this. And if recognizing a day it gets us in that direction without much of a poor consequence, I'm all in favor. If someone wants to make our winter holiday a Christmas holiday again, I'd be happy to talk about that too. We know what we are as people. All we're trying to do is make this community know they are welcome and part of this, and their holiday is every bit as important as their holiday.
And I agree with that. I totally agree with what you just said, and the way that we go about this sometimes, it's just mind-boggling.
Ms. Cerrucci, again, I couldn't agree with you more. Sometimes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. People thought they were trying to do something useful, and this is where we are. So, our better selves fix these problems, and we fix them with the help of the community. So, that's what we're doing. And Ms. Warning has taken a step, so I'm comfortable with this, but I'd like also this to be a roll call, if you could, as you should. Anyone else has any questions? Fire away.
Ramadan's next. We haven't put that on.
Yeah.
Let's get this done.
Whenever a person is feeling left out after tonight, please come up with a resolution for the board, and we will kindly acknowledge that as well.
Okay, Mrs. McBride? Aye. Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Abstain?
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams? Aye. Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci?
Aye.
And Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let's move on to comments from residents on non-agenda items. Ms. Rosalind Daly has signed up to talk about civics courses at the high school.
Yes. Hi, Rosalind Daly from Monroeville. And first of all, I just want to thank all of you for your investment in our children and the love and the time and the hard work you put into giving them the best education. I'm here for two reasons. Number one is to advocate actually for a full and informative celebration of Constitution Day. That's September 17th, and it should be celebrated on a school day, even though it takes place on a Sunday this year, with stories of true history and readings from our founding fathers and original source documents, among other things. There is a federal law that requires this celebration, although there shouldn't be any need of one. What I discussed further in this talk is going to be, will help explain why it's it's understandable why it's not celebrated, unfortunately. All right, so secondly, in a heart full of concern, I want to encourage superior courses on our Declaration, Constitution, and Bill of Rights. In general, true American history. Why? Because Americans are ignorant of their own founding. We are ignorant of the principles that guided our forefathers in their formation of the new constitutional republic. And if we don't understand those truths and principles, as Benjamin Franklin said to the woman who approached him after the Constitutional Convention with the question, "Sir, what have you given us?" His answer to her was then, and is the same today, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." Have we kept it? Hardly. The great American experiment is teetering on the brink of disaster. Yet today, the most basic truths, like God and His law being the source of true knowledge and liberty, have been rejected and neglected. If we dare to bring up the subject, we are immediately opposed with dire warnings about separation of church and state, which is a complete misunderstanding of the context. As though real freedom didn't originate with Him, and love and honor of God might lead to evil or cruel dictates. We are a confused people, and our kids are confused. From the Gateway High School program of studies for the 2023-24 year, the only course even mentioning one original source document, our Constitution, reads, "The United States Government and Politics." It's a half credit, and it's an elective or required for 11th and 12th grade. It's an approved NCAA course. The Advanced Placement United States Government and Politics course is designed to give academically talented and highly motivated students a critical perspective on politics and government. This course will involve both the study of general concepts used to interpret United States politics and the analysis of specific case studies. Participants will acquire in-depth knowledge of the various institutions, groups, beliefs, and ideals that make up American political reality. Topics to be covered include the constitutional underpinnings of the American government, political beliefs and behaviors, political parties, interest groups, and the mass media, institutions of the national government, public policy, and civil liberties. At the conclusion of the course, students will have the opportunity to take the advanced placement examination and possibly earn advanced placement credits. My problem with this is there's no original source documents. It talks about, first of all, giving academically talented and highly motivated students this course. What about just regular students? Can't regular students learn the basics about our foundations? It talks about a critical perspective on politics and government. Why do we need to hear a critical perspective on politics and government? We just need to learn our foundational documents. It talks about general concepts used to interpret United States politics. Well, we want to develop children with critical thinking skills, right? So we want them to read the documents and develop those skills and come to the conclusions that they come to. And then it talks about various institutions, institutions that don't belong because they're not part of our Constitution. That's a problem. Groups, beliefs, and ideals that make up American political reality. Not to be facetious, but a lot of the groups that make up our American political reality are a problem, and they're a distraction. But our basic foundations have been neglected and are not understood. So, as an example, do our students know and read the authors our founders read and quoted most often in their deliberations, men like Blackstone, Montesquieu, Locke, and Hume, with the Bible being quoted the most often? Yes, in the discussions leading to the formation of our government, the Bible was quoted the most often. If not, how will they begin to understand it? Do our students know our Constitution is the longest living Constitution by over 200 years, and that the average lifespan of the constitutions of other nations is 17 years? If not, they can't see a clear proof of American exceptionalism and might swallow the lie that America is no different and no better than any other nation. Do our students know that we are not a democracy, but a constitutional republic, which includes some democratic processes, and that our founders were deathly opposed to a pure democracy? If not, they will suffer the degeneration of our society into mob rule, as our founders so clearly stated. Isn't that the sort of thing happening today? Benjamin Franklin put it this way: democracy is two wolves and a lamb deciding what to have for lunch. Do our students know who Alexis de Tocqueville is, and that after visiting the new nation for some months, he wrote, among many other most valuable observations, that America is great because America is good? And we were known throughout the world to be a very religious people. If they don't know this, they could be deceived by some who would malign and deny the people of today true religion and America's backbone. Do our students know at the Constitutional Convention in 1789, the delegates from each state, when they couldn't come to agreement regarding the formation of Congress, prayed for God's help, some on their knees, and that God answered their prayers by showing them they should create two legislative bodies, the House and Senate, and that every day thereafter they began their deliberations with prayer? If not, they can't appreciate the faith and humility of these great men. And surely today, unfortunately, many of them don't. Do our students know that the idea for the three branches of government came from the Bible? Isaiah 33:22 says, "For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. He will save us." If not, then they won't appreciate our religious heritage, nor will they perceive the wisdom in God's word. For it was this verse that showed them the way to separate branches of government in order to prevent any one of them from obtaining too much power. Do our students know that for decades, political ideas and issues with the British government were taught from the church pulpits? And that the black-robed regiment were pastors and teachers who often wore their uniforms and carried weapons under their black robes, even as they led services, ready at all times to lead the people into the inevitable conflict? I submit to you that America and American ideals, the principles that guided our founders and people, the religion that taught the way to true and lasting liberty, all these things are hated by the same people who are intent to keep us from our originator and the original source documents. But we must take steps to go back to these documents, and we must allow our children to be truly taught. For without the original sources, you will never be able to get to the truth, because America has enemies, and they ignore original sources and rewrite history to prevent America's children from learning so that America can never be great again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. I skipped ahead, I'm afraid. Dr. Kane, are you called in?
He's up there.
Yeah, see his picture?
There he is. Can you hear me, Dr. Kane?
I can hear you.
How you doing?
He's supposed to be here, but he had
Yeah,
flight
Dr.
troubles.
Kane, are you still in the airport in Philadelphia, or where are you? This is not working well.
We can't hear you.
His bandwidth is low.
Well, that's a picture, so.
Well, Dr. Kane was going to be reviewing or giving us his report on his review of our equities program, which he has spent a great deal of time and energy doing. And unfortunately, he was trying to fly back to Pittsburgh. His flight got canceled, and he's stuck in the airport in Philadelphia. And this isn't working either because, as often. Okay, so we're going to have to do this
Maybe
again.
he'll come back.
We'll figure it out. Thank you, Ms. Daly, and we'll talk to the curriculum folks about your recommendation. Although I do one sort of teeny exception. You mentioned our unwillingness to discuss religion. I think a few minutes ago we did exactly that.
Thank you, yeah.
So things aren't always exactly as they appear. All right, so let's get on to our board committee reports. Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we having more?
Is there any more?
Agenda. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, of course. I mean, no. I mean, of course.
Cheryl Boyce, Monroe. First of all, I want to tell you, thank you for doing Special Olympics. A lot of you may have worked with special needs kids and adults, but I have one in my family. And you can't get it unless you live with it. And my brother-in-law, my husband's older brother, never had these chances growing up. They didn't exist. He never participated in the Special Olympics until he did senior citizens, adult Special Olympics in Westmoreland County. You think the kids get excited? You should see the adults. His roommate, Dougie, wears every medal he ever got when he goes out. Pretty soon he's going to be like this because he's not going to be able to stand up straight. But that leads me to the word that I wanted to talk about, and I didn't know if Dr. Kane was going to be here, and that's opportunities. And that's the word we should have in the forefront of our brains. Because my brother-in-law could never do what my husband could do. He couldn't be equitable. He couldn't do it. From day one, if I have a folder this thick that we inherited after my mother-in-law passed away of all the bureaucratic paperwork that led to him being classified. Back then it was called mentally retarded. We have come a long way since then. But we need to talk about opportunities. And I don't know when Dr. Kane's going to get to do this again. I have spent hours since we had this initial conversation reading articles, books, talking to people about this. And the word has to be opportunity, and you have to take this into consideration. Every one of these kids, including people like my brother-in-law, are unique individual human beings and learners. And if you don't approach it like that, you're never going to succeed. So you have to give a broad spectrum of programs. I would like to see his report. Is that available to read prior to him making it?
Yes.
Can I get a copy of that?
I don't see why
I mean,
not.
given that I could have brought a stack of books this high about this subject that I've researched, because you know what, we got to put ideology and emotion aside. Is that it? I like a copy of that, and we have to look at reality. About, can I have that one? Good. I want to bring something else. Other than I wanted to read that report about opportunities and whatever. Oh. All these programs, and this is something I think we fail to do sometimes. I know you try to communicate, but I'll tell you what, people aren't listening. All of these programs, some of which you approved tonight, you're trying everything you can to help these kids and do what they need to have done to succeed. The problem is the public is not paying attention to what's in this agenda. The intermediate unit, you approved that tonight. I looked at it. I don't know how many of you have looked at all the programs they offer. I don't know which ones you're going to reach out to. But I think when we talk about opportunity, I think it's time you pass out a list of all these things. Deborah, Turtle Creek Valley. We're talking about the AIU. There's another one on here. It just keeps, you're paying all of this, you're signing up for all of this, and people don't know that you're doing all these things to try to give the kids the individualized help and support that they need, because they're unique people. And it's got to be diverse kind of programs, and you're doing that, and I congratulate you on that, because not every district's doing that. Can we do more? You can always do more. But can you please also, if we have this conversation and look at that report at the same time, can you produce a document listing every single program that you get coming into the district to show what we're doing beyond the scope of just paraprofessionals, tutoring, teachers? Can you do that too? I think people need to see that to understand.
Okay.
Okay? All right, and Susan, I'll get that from you as we're leaving. Thank you very much.
Anyone else on non-agenda items?
Nope. Maybe Anthony Kane is back online. Give him a shout, see if he can
Can
respond.
you hear me, Dr. Kane?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can right now, yes.
Micah, can you bring up the recommendations, please? Thanks.
Are you still there, Anthony?
I am.
All right, Micah's bringing up the equity summary and recommendations as we speak.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're on the cover sheet. You want to talk Micah through what you want him to do?
Yeah, we talked while you all were still in the private session, so I will go through and I'll ask him to click forward when I'm ready for him to advance. Did you hear me?
Yeah. So fire away.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Sorry that I wasn't able to be with you in person, but American Airlines had other plans, and
yeah, so does the cell phone company.
I get to be the butt of God's joke today. So
you know what, Anthony,
so I figured I would
have him come back in July.
Anthony, you're breaking up so badly that we're not going to do you any justice. So we're just going to have to schedule this with you in person, okay? Because it's just not going to work. There's a good picture of you, though, for what it's worth. He's gone again. All right. We're going to try that. We'll try it at a very soon, but later date with you in person.
I worried this would happen because
All right, that was fun. Okay, good luck getting on your plane or driving home, whatever you're doing. All right, let's move on to resolutions by, oh, we already did that, sorry. Board committee reports, that's where we're going. Who's up? Johnny.
I'll go first, Jack. We have the PSBA's annual gathering to work on their legislative platform. Last time, during the study session, I reviewed my notes from the staff that I interviewed, and I dummied those up, and I tossed them to us, and I asked the board members if they had any thoughts to get back to me. Well, I polished those notes up, and I put them on a 3-page document here. Bonnie printed them, passed them out. So I'd like to ask for a motion, because this is due tomorrow to the PSBA. I'd like to ask a motion tonight to approve this. Now, it probably has some thoughts that are still raw in it. I'm happy to submit it as is to the PSBA, because many other school board members are also going to put their raw thoughts. The team is going to collect them at the delegate assembly. They'll package all the best thoughts together, and then they'll blend it into a proposal, a set of proposals that will go into the next version of the document. So I don't think we need to go over this with a fine-tooth comb. It's nothing that would surprise any of us. I'll be happy to make the motion right now.
Please do.
So the motion is the Gateway School Board approves the following submissions to the PSBA's 2023-2024 legislative platform. And that's this document.
Motion made, second. Everybody wants the second. And before I ask for any questions, before I do that, I want to thank you for all the work. This is for brains like mine, tedious and impossible. So I appreciate, John, all you do as it relates to this. Anyone has any questions for Mr. Ritter at all here or out there? Fire away.
So I have one discussion item. I have little hope that any of this will go through, because the way the legislature is, when PSBA or any advocates knock on the door, it takes the legislature 2, 3, 4, 5 years to chew on something, get the legislation polished, toss it to the other committees, get back, go over and over and over it. But these are the right things that would help any and all school districts move forward a bit. Some fascinating things are in here, like artificial intelligence. That's one of the things. We have to look down the line and see what's coming ahead and get prepared for it. So this helps the legislature start to chew on the right things, and it rehearses some of the things they've already heard time and time again.
Very good. Any questions for John?
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Yep, thank you, John.
Nope. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Beautiful.
Bonnie, it's all yours.
Anything else, Mr. Ritter? Let's move on. Ms. Delaney.
Okay, I just gotten a text from Dr. Kane. He said he was afraid that was going to happen. I timed my drive to be through the mountains, but I told him also that we had lost him, that he was breaking up, and we would have him in person soon.
Thank you.
And basically also, I just wanted to mention this not this past, the weekend before that, was the Juneteenth celebration in town. Very wonderful celebration, went without a hitch. Everything was just fantastic. I think in terms of educating and learning about history, not just, as I always say, Black history, but history. We need to learn more about Juneteenth and other types of celebrations and programs that are out there. And this ended with spectacular 30-minute fireworks. So I just think if you're not familiar with Juneteenth, since it is a federal holiday, that you educate yourself on that as you celebrate diversity in this community. That's all I got.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Warning.
Just a few things. You've heard me talk about Sunrise School and the issues that we've been having with their roof and everything. I'm happy to say that we have the contractors on the roof right now, well, not right now, but they are working on the roof, and it is being repaired after 4 years of court cases and everything else. So we were hoping to get Sunrise to move over to Mosside once it was empty, but we feel the building itself fits the students the best, so they will be staying there, and I'm just glad that the roof is being fixed for the safety of everybody in the building. Also, July 4th, we will be having a 4th of July parade, and Miss Independence this year is the Miss Jayla Chase, who was the lead in our play, Miss Mamma Mia. So if you have a chance, come out on the 4th of July, 9 o'clock on Route 22, and see her. And the fireworks at 9:30 at night, yes. And just a special cheer out to Mr. Ritter, became a new grandpa recently. And a happy birthday to our tech director, Maiko.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday.
I have pictures. Anybody wants to see?
Pictures of Maiko. Oh, the baby. My bad. Ms. Cerrucci, what do you got?
Well, I want to say, Rosalind, thank you for your presentation and your concern about what we're teaching our kids about the history of our country. And it's funny timing because I didn't even realize it, but our social studies curriculum is up for review, isn't it, this next year? And we 1 year away from social studies curriculum review?
Well, things got pushed back due to COVID. Science is kind of up right now.
Science and then social studies?
Yes.
So soon.
Yes.
But what you don't know, and you struck a chord with me, is that my son, oldest son, is 21 years old. And when he was in elementary school, gosh, I'm trying to remember what grade it was. You know what I'm going to say. It was second through fourth grade. I can't remember. It was elementary school. And he was doing a unit on the Constitution and the founding of our country and the Declaration of Independence. And he brought his book home, and he brought his worksheets home, and he asked me for help. And there was some fill in the blanks, and there were some questions. And I was looking at it, and I was like, let me see your book. And I looked at his book, and his book was wrong. His book was wrong in that it didn't have false statements in it, but it intentionally left out truth. And you mentioned one of the things that book left out. And I'm telling you this story because this is one of the reasons that I ran for school board 9 years ago, okay? You said during the Constitutional Convention that they could not come to an agreement and there was gridlock. And Benjamin Franklin called for prayer. And I have some of those original books and some of those authors that you mentioned that documented this stuff years and years ago. And his book left that out.
If a sparrow doesn't fall to the
And-
ground, he was quoting, Benjamin Franklin was quoting scripture.
And not only that,
Right.
not only did he call for prayer, they had a prayer, and they had a prayer celebration, and they invited a pastor to come and preach after they came to an agreement, and they gave glory to God for bringing them to unity. And that was left out of the book. Why was that left out of the book? Is that offensive to leave truth out of the book? I am in favor of truth in history in all areas of truth. good, bad, the ugly. I don't want us teaching our kids a interpretive view of the Constitution or an interpretive view of what somebody thinks it should have said, or I think that when we're reviewing our social studies curriculum, I think we really need to look hard at critical thinking of our kids, showing them what the documents say, and allowing discussion. So I share that story with you because that is one of the whole reasons I ran for school board. And what happened after that is I took that elementary school book and I wrote a 7-page paper of everything that was wrong with that book, and I gave proof to back it up, and I gave it to the then curriculum director, who is no longer here, and we stopped using that book. I want to make sure we don't go back to that book.
I have good recommendations, by the way. I should have mentioned nccs.net, which is the National Center for Constitutional Studies.net, has outstanding resources. And let's see, that was something else. But thank you.
So, and we should be able to openly discuss these kind of things. And when we disagree on things, we should be able to discuss them, and our kids should be able to discuss them. And you know, we had at the high school a guest speaker who was from Venezuela, who wanted to talk about his experience growing up under a communist socialist regime. And there was a little bit of concern about that. Why? 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 That's right. There were other people, there were other schools. This person came to our school through a grant. Columbia, he's a fellow at Columbia, going for his economics PhD. But other schools in the area were invited to have him there and chose not to because they felt it was controversial. So I'm proud of Gateway for allowing our kids to hear those types of stories and allow questions and allow conversation and allow discussion, because isn't that why we're here?
That's right. I do remember now, this is important also, nccs.net also has excellent resources for the celebration of Constitutional Day. I think they're nice, compact videos and other resources. I would highly recommend checking them out. Maybe you can do something with this, hopefully you can, for September 17th. And I do have a copy of the federal law that states that basically when any federal agency receives, or any local school district receives federal monies, that they have to teach the Constitution on that day. But of course, we can't on a Sunday because it's a Sunday this year. But basically, set aside a day right around there for that purpose. And I'll pass that to whoever wants it.
Dr. Rossi, because he oversees curriculum for the younger students. I yield back. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Cerrucci. Nothing. Mr. Williams. Thank you. Ms. McBride.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Mandel. Mandel Singh. Dr. Singh, what do you have?
Thank you, thank you. Okay.
I also have nothing. I'm going to finish up with Dr. William Short, his superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Bova. I would like to acknowledge the work of Mike Zarellis and his team.
Thank you.
For putting together a very difficult process to have the budget passed before July 1. Many hours that go into it with all the administrators, personnel office, Mrs. Jessel. Started back in January, I believe. So 6-month process to have this budget passed. Great job.
Thank you.
And I appreciate everything. Also, would like to announce on tonight's agenda, a family medical intermittent leave was approved for me. Understanding that the Department of Education requires a commissioned officer to be appointed as acting superintendent. At this point, I would like to recommend Dr. Guy Rossi as acting superintendent while I'm on leave.
Motion to approve Dr. Rossi as acting superintendent?
Second.
That motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions on that motion?
Any comments from the residents here?
Yes. No. Do we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Mungo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Dr. Singh.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
And Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the motion carries. Anything else, Dr. Short?
That's all I have for tonight.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Motion is made.
I have a comment. I just wanted to say to the people that are so, interested in education in general, especially adults, don't throw your Encyclopedia Britannicas away. Don't sell them. Call me first. I just bought a 1987 edition. I didn't go back far enough. This is a request.
All right. Who do we direct this to? Who are you?
Who are you?
She wants to tell you why. Because St. Google is leaving out a lot of truth. That's the kindest way. The answers from the editors in Oxford in the Encyclopedia Britannica do not agree with the new answers from Google.
I still have my 7-page report for anybody who would like to read it. My 7-page report on. All right. See me after the meeting. Adjourn, Jack?
I hear in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Thanks for coming out on the smoky Thursday.